So I gotta kind of do this fast because I gotta kind of squeeze it in between all the holiday madness, recording it in advance so that I can just upload it later. But the subject that I want to talk about is what will be when it uploads today, even though it's not. Today is literally Christmas Eve. But one of the hardest things for me to kind of categorize and find a place for, or a way to kind of comprehend in kind of my life schedule or my life in general, has always been December 26th, which is when I hope to get this video out. December 26th through 31st. Because throughout most of my life, I think most people lives in general, it seems like the entire month of December is dedicated to December 25th. There's calendars designed for it with the little countdown checkers. There's just so many things that are just given to the day of Christmas, Christmas Eve, film marathons, and Die Hard, and Home Alone, and doing all those kind of things. That it's all about getting us to December 25th, which is not necessarily wrong, because obviously we celebrate that out of remembrance of the day Christ was born, even though it wasn't literally the day he was born. Recognize it, fine. But that's the reason we're coming through the month. But then December 26th comes, and if you're anything like our house was, there's not even like wrapping paper on the floor anymore, because we cleaned that all up right away. And it's just, you look around and all the stuff that was so new and fresh and pretty the previous day, and even 2 days ago, Christmas Eve, was all wrapped up and had that aura of mystery, of wondering what's inside. And then 26th comes, and it seems like you've got this void of a week, because after that, all the attention turns towards New Year's Day and the new year coming, and now you've got this void of empty space where if you're like in grade school, or if you're in college, or you're any of those things, or if you work in any kind of field that gives you time off during that time, likelihood is you don't even have to go to work. You don't necessarily have to do any of the normal routine things that kind of classify your day and your week. And so you just you're faced with, well, now what do I do? What do I do now? And as a kid, it's easy because you're a kid and you just play with the things that are new. But as you get older, people just stop giving you stuff like Christmas. And so you have less of that to kind of look forward to, or kind of fill that space with. And when you get to be an adult officially, like last year, I had to work Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, and the day after. So it's just another day. Like, you don't even have time to pause. But I guess what I'm kind of trying to get at is, we live all of our life unknowingly in December 26th, because of the fact that Christ has come and he's brought his life, his ministry there. It's in the Gospels. We can read it and we can review it and spend time with it. Living in a new age without knowing that we're in a new age most of the time. We forget so easily how much more our life should be full, because we get caught up with the madness and busyness of daily life. So after we've finally seen Christ born, right? You watch the Peanuts Christmas special, and Linus comes center stage and reminds us of the reason for the season, and then end of take, reset characters, right? And then that's it. It's over. And then you just kind of wondering, well, what am I going to make my resolution this year? What am I going to do with this eternity that's been placed before me. And in some ways it can just be overwhelming and exhausting and frustrating even, because you feel like there's so much weight now on your life of the 2020 is going to come whether you want it to or not. And I don't have my life together the way I needed to, and the way I promised myself that I would have it together at the end of 2019, and at the end of 2018, and at the end of 2017. And it's not getting itself together for some reason. So, which I think is one of the most important reasons to integrate into our lives, something which churches have used for generations now. It's called the church calendar, in which Christmas Day is essentially midnight, and it strikes, and then throughout the rest of the following 6 months, you're marking with the 12 days of Christmas, and just you're recognizing the incarnation of Christ throughout your year, so that you can then remember more clearly everything that Christ has brought into this life. Not just himself, which is great, not just his sacrifice come spring or with Easter and everything, not just those two events, but the fact that he lived a life like we live a life, and that he made choices the way we make choices, and that he had relationships the way that we have relationships, and that when we reflect on his life that way, he can help instruct us and guide us on how to make our meaning, like add meaning into our moments, make our moments count for infinitely more than just the bill and creditors that want us to pay every month.